Hello, everyone. Mike Arnold here, co-founder, Path Trading Partners, along with Bob Iacchino. Happy Super Bowl Sunday. We still have to do the sector overview. Going to take a little longer approach using one of my longer-term systems to see where we stand with all the different sectors. Not much changes on a day-to-day basis to really adjust the viewpoint, except for major turning points. That's why we're going to take a quick look at major turning points. By the way, if you're new here, please do consider subscribing, ringing that bell, and hitting the like button, especially ringing that bell so you know when we go live, and hitting likes or dislikes and leaving comments are always super appreciated to help keep this channel growing and share this valuable information with everybody. So that being said, we're on these again are the Spider Select funds, and then I've thrown in some other key things to take a look at. We have my long-term weekly system. By the way, I will be doing a video in the next week or so, probably to outline, how I come up with stuff like this. I've been doing system development since the early 90s. Even before it was super popular, way back when. I remember my first one of my first things was back in coding in TradeStation, and then another very powerful computer system when I was working for a option market making firm. So lots of experience with systems. So I have the last arrows for the buy. I mean, energy shifted to a buy at the end of November of 20. Okay, and it's not just with a, yes, this is a moving average, but it's not just with the crossover of the moving average, because you can get really whipsawed around. As you see, there's no sell here, there's no sell here. Major sell before that was back, oh boy, right around at the end of April. So this stayed, and we're not trying to call highs or lows. We're trying to grab the long-term trend. So as you see, even with your little pullbacks here, it's never issued a sell signal. We're up now against some key harmonic clusters up here, so I am watching for another slight pullback. Also, we still have a valid end of cycle possible top in crude. We did get a bounce in crude based off the war drums with Ukraine and Russia and everything else that's beating. But even with that little sideways correction in crude, still watching for a more substantial pullback. This you can see in very strong mode, for bullish mode. Again, last buy signal has been in place for a while. Does not mean you can't have decent pullbacks, but in my opinion, in the energy sector, pullbacks are still to be bought, and you can use, since this is a weekly chart, we're looking at everything on the weekly charts. I'll click on the daily. Do not ignore this. This is not a system for the daily aspect, but you see little sideways moving back up, but we're coming in on that next major cluster. On a first pullback, your support is around 68. All right, so even on pullbacks, energy, strong buy, real estate. Sorry about that. I clicked on the wrong thing. There we go. Real estate, not yet a sell, even though we're closed. We're back below the this key moving average. We're still waiting for some other confirmation. The last buy was, again, June of 20, and never a sell in all here. So this has been long since June of 20, but we're getting to that major topping area. Divergences up here, and now real estate's pulling back, especially with mortgage rates going higher, and with the inflationary environment could put some pressure on housing, since people generally buy on payments, and payments are going up for newer shoppers, and it's even getting riskier with variable rate mortgages. So in this environment, there could be a substantial risk to real estate. Watching for that to roll over. Key support is around this 44.60 area, 44.50, 44.60. You got to close below there. You're in a longer term clear path move, and then I get very, very bearish on real estate. How does that help you with investing? I am steering clear once this does tip into a full-blown sell signal of anything, unless it has major outperformance, but it would have to have major outperformance for me to be interested at all. See here a quick peek at the daily. We do have a potential little double bottom, but that's a long way off from triggering. So again, even on a rally up, your support, your resistance, your first level of resistance is about 46.77 to 47 up there. Keep in mind, I would not want to be aggressively long anything at real estate uh, in terms of stocks. Now, we do not have a full-blown sell signal yet, but it is getting very close. Here's your financials. Again, Spider Select Financial Fund. This has been long since back in November of 20, so for over a year and about 3 months. Major topping pattern on any pullbacks. This is still a buy. No, this is not a double top because of this a lot of this sideways information in or sideways price action in here. Next push up, I'm still bullish on this, so I am still watching to buy this on short-term pullbacks. Your daily little pullbacks, key area would be major would be about 39. But even if we don't even get a pullback to there, about 39.60, 39.70 would be key. And then I'd watch for a move back above 40.72. Again, financials are still looking strong and nowhere close to a sell signal at this point. Sorry, having a little mouse issues too. XLK, this is Technology Fund. Again, we had a buy back in about April of 20. After this pretty decent sell-off of buy in April of 20, it's been long in this sector since that time. We are getting closer to a major sell signal. Also, this does look like a head and shoulders here. Nearly flat neckline, slightly sloping down. I just treat this as a neckline. Maybe next week we will go over the targets for that if it does issue a full-blown sell signal. Key support coming in around 151. We do not have that sell signal just yet, and it's not simply just crossing below 153. There are more rules involved than that, but if we do get that sell signal, it is a strong rotation out of technology for the time being. Doesn't mean I can't be in some technology stocks. It just means they have to have a large outperformance margin and they have to be outperforming, especially on any pullbacks, because we could see some very toppy price action in technology. So that's what I'm keeping an eye out for. Here's where we sit on the daily. Again, we don't have that sell signal yet, but in order for me to get even more aggressive, I'd have to get back above this 164 area right around here, which was formed this little mini double top. And that double top, if we look here, with those wrong one, sorry about that. With it comes back down right to this prior significant level, 150.70 area, and your first two targets were almost at the first target, but then your next target's 152. So this is just more short-term bearish, and we're also looking at longer-term potential bearish should we get a sell signal, and I will let everybody know when that happens. Industrial, closing in, not yet on a sell signal here. Key support about 98.50. We break below 98.50. We'll watch for these recent lows, 97 area. And then my next area, see, we're getting into a sort of an advanced clear path move with only one little pause area here. So I will not, especially once we get the longer term sell signal, will not be interested again unless something is major outperformance in the industrial sector. So I will be very, very particular with owning any industrial stocks once this does trigger. It has not triggered yet, but I'm keeping a close eye because even without this triggering just yet, we have key support. We break below that key support, we're also into a separate sell signal. You can see running up here, providing this this is not a double top, but it's two tops in the same vicinity. And you see where that key support is sitting around 98.50. It would have to get above about 103 before I get interested, at least on a short-term basis. And back above 103, it would postpone this potential coming up weekly sell signal. XLY. We had, let's just peek at that daily real quick. We had this, these I can take off here. We ran up to prior support becoming resistance and rotating back down after we already hit the second target. So this has already had bearish price action. Again, this is the consumer discretionary. I am very bearish on consumer discretionary at the moment. I'm expecting us to easily get to this 166.54. What does that mean? I do not want to be long any consumer discretionary targets at this point. We are going to be issuing, the last buy signal was back in May of 20, and probably within the next week, we will be issuing a long-term sell signal on that. And we already had the short-term sell. So we're still watching for the final targets on the short-term sell, and now it's looking like we will trigger a long-term sell. So please stay tuned for that. Again, you need a stock that's strong outperformance, especially on dips. Okay. Other than that, it is a clear sell on this short and probably longer term. Healthcare. Healthcare's been in bullish mode since April of 20. Key support, which is bounced off in, not yet a sell signal, but getting closer. Major support about 125.25, so that's a key level to watch. It got rejected off this about 134. It needs to get really above 134 before I am short-term bullish again. You can see here running up. Let me pull off a couple of these other arrows. Again, we start getting above about 134. You can have some more upside price action, but until that happens, I am not aggressively looking for anything in healthcare. I need to be, again, a long. We don't have that super long-term sell signal yet, but once we do, then it's going to require major outperformance. Now, if we don't get that sell signal and healthcare gets above 134.03, I can start getting more aggressive in the healthcare sector again. But it's sort of in neutral mode right now to see what we trigger, either a short-term continued bullish movement or longer term if it shifts to bearish. Really watch, though, if it pulls back 125.30 area is key. You get below there, we're in some area that you could see a pretty rapid unwinding of some healthcare stocks. XLB, the Material Select Spider. No sell signal yet. The last buy signal was back in at the end of May of 20. Toppy price action right here. This little mini sloppy double top right there. I don't even remember where those targets were on the conservative ones. Oops, wrong one again. Why do I keep clicking on that? Sorry for delaying everybody. Yeah, it does work. And so we're coming off. This is short term. It has triggered this. Don't like the triggers with an upward close, but it is still officially triggered. The targets for this are 80.58. Let me pull off these shorter term ones. 80.58, major is 79, and then 77.33. No longer term sell signal yet, but potentially rolling over into a sell signal. So I'm paying very close attention because we have a short-term bearish signal, and within the next couple of weeks, we might turn into a longer-term sell signal. That would, again, mean I have to be very picky with any Material Select companies I'd be looking at, and they'd be outperformance. What would get me at least shorter-term bullish would be a move. Let me get this on here. A move. I'm just looking for some significant levels. I have to bump that up right around in that vicinity. So about 86.50, we get above 86.50, I will be more term, short term, looking still in that sector, but longer term, I'm still watching for this potential sell signal if it does roll over. You can start to see the trend here. We are about to look at potentially a lot of sell signals in sectors. That is not healthy. Now, consumer staples, and you see a sell signal with right at the end of February with the COVID, then a buy signal back at April. This choppy price action did not rule anything out, never issued a sell signal. There's no sell signal here, no sell signal here, no sell signal here. Long way off still from a sell signal. If we get towards the purple line, I will start watching for one. All right, right now, we had this little mini sloppy double, got up to the first target, but that's all it could maintain. And look at this. We also have a little short-term sell signal right here. So I'm watching for a pullback, especially to the more recent lows. That would just be some short-term weakness. Again, ignore the purple line on the daily. This is only part of a weekly system, but that would be back. I'd be watching close to 74.41 to 74.06. I actually like this because even with that pullback, long way off from a weekly sell signal, but then I can start watching for, again, to reload or to look at some consumer staples and watch of what to pick up. Love consumer staples still in this inflationary environment. Even if the market does roll over, consumer staples are what people have to buy. So they might get pickier with some things, but there'll be outperformance still in this sector. So this is one to keep an eye on, even with short-term weakness. Great, fantastic. It means I can really start looking to pick up some longer-term consumer staple stocks for longer-term plays. Love this kind of setup. So that would be an area I would suggest that people start looking at more aggressively, especially with do not be scared with this pullback. Communication. Communication already got a sell signal at the beginning of December. You can see, and then rolling back up and then rolling over. This is not weak at all. The last buy signal was in May of 20, and then a sell signal here. So again, potential pretty big capture of some moves in communication services, but now won't touch it. Full-blown sell signal. We're into some advanced clear path moves, which favor lower price actions, and this would be selling stuff on any rallies. So this, if I did get rallies in here, like, let me pull off this, anything rallying, you could use these daily rotation zones and everything else. Maybe we'll cover that next week. But any rallies are to be sold, and these are longer term put plays. This is great with weakness in the overall market. You can play put spreads just even in the communication services sector. You can find very weak stocks in the communication sector and use those because they will accelerate even more rapidly on sell-offs. And this has a long way to potentially drop back down. So rallies are to be faded, would stick away from anything in this. It would have to have very strong outperformance, and still, it would just be bounce plays in those stocks, so nothing long-term. XLU, we have the utilities. See, little whipsaw, and again, I put this on for a specific reason, little whipsaw here, so no system is perfect, but it does keep you in a lot of moves, even with a little whipsaw here. Longer term, still utilities might be getting close to another sell signal. I am going to be monitoring this very, very closely. But it's been able to ride it since about March of 22. Not looking to do anything aggressively based off where this is. Little short-term buy signal that's already topped out. Let's take a look at this. That might be also a very sloppy double. Very sloppy. And it's already hit the second target. So I'm going to be watching the 66.50 area to see if it finds any support there. But we could be getting close to triggering another sell signal in the utility sector, which means I have to find a strong outperforming utility stock to even be interested. Transportation, so I just throw this in here because we don't look at it at any other time. Looks like we're getting close to another sell signal. We had a sell signal in February before the major sell-off here, and then it's been long here since June of 20. This actually didn't negate the signal. That's why it's not just watching a crossover of moving average. Those kind of things generally don't work because you can get whipsawed around. I will elaborate on that when I teach you some things I found to help you develop. Again, I'm going to put this up for sale for a very reasonable price. Like, I think it's going to be under $100, just to help people if you want to invest in something that you can monitor long term. If you want to help develop one yourself, I'm going to give you some rules and guidelines so you can even develop one yourself and don't have to spend money. But if you do want to support the channel, that is fantastic, and I guarantee it will save you and help you learn when the buy signals are, so it will make you more than the inexpensive cost when we put this up for sale. Just fine-tuning some little aspects of that and setting up a new storefront. Looking like it could be issuing a major sell signal again in transportation. We still have, even with that, I still have some support coming in at 241, but if it breaks 241, it's all over. I would still look for some potential short-term plays in this unless we break for 241. And those short-term plays would have to be strong bottoming patterns or strong outperformance, and then they would just be short-term plays. And I will let you know within the next couple weeks if we get a long-term sell in transportation. Let's look at that daily chart. We can take off that old buy signal here. Again, we had this little slight reversal, another double top pattern. Wow. Another double top. Just it technically might not qualify for the second target, but I'm still going to utilize these, especially with the first target about 252, since what look like it's rolling over longer term. We also look at the commodity index. Commodity index issued a major buy back in the beginning of September. Didn't get stopped out here. Still super strong buy. I'm watching for continued upward price action in commodity index. We've had some great little buy signals here. Some great short-term buy signals. I will let you know when the next major short-term buy signal is. I would love to see a pullback in here to reload. Major support coming in about 21.80 to 22. Might get a buy signal before this. This is if you're familiar with our rotation zone concepts, which we talk about in a lot of videos. You can pretty much learn that concept for free. I'd put that on a daily chart and watch for rotation buys. Next key price targets 23.88, then major 24.54 to 24.71. This has gone on a pretty substantial run, getting very overbought. So going to start watching for a pullback. The first warning sign would be a close below this week's low. But, you know, this is not something you want to fade. I'm not interested in any shorts here. I am just looking on pullbacks for long plays. DBA. Agriculture fund, a subset of commodities, getting very bullish. We got the buy signal back, boy, at the end of August of 20. Super powerful. Looking for pullbacks in agriculture also. Slightly hitting overbought off our key harmonic 2127. Would love a pullback in here to find more agriculture plays, but on pullbacks, this is another strong buy. Again, commodities and the subset of agriculture, very strong. Pullbacks, from our opinion, are to be bought. Short term, even a pullback, if this might get a little topping pattern, you see how accurate that little harmonic was with that gap open. But key area to watch for is about 2040 to 2050 on a pullback right there. I think that's it. Yep, that is it. So overall, you have commodities that are still a strong buy. Let me switch cameras again. Commodities which are a strong buy. You have things like energy, which again is a commodity. You have consumer staples, still a strong buy, and you have a lot of other things that are either close or have already triggered massive sell signals. What does that mean for the overall market for us? Not super bullish on the overall market when you have this many sectors looking like they're triggering sell signals. We'd have to have a pretty rapid turnaround. So even on short-term bounces in the S&P, in the NASDAQ, in the Dow, those short-term bounces are to be used for hedging from our perspective, or, you know, for raising stops aggressively on outperforming stocks. On dips, again, I will only look against consumer staples, commodities, still financials can be bought on dips. And then on the rallies, you aggressively move up your stops. Things to avoid like communications, consumer discretionary, probably going to issue that long-term sell soon. So there's lots of things to avoid in this environment. If you do have stocks in those that are still outperforming or even performing at the market, our suggestion, even though we can't give specific individual advice, would be to consider moving up stops and figuring out where, if the price hits, you do not want to be invested in that anymore. You're better still to have cash or free up cash to be able to move into things like the commodities sector, like on a pullback, some energies, on good financial stocks that are outperforming. Those are the things you should focus on. Until then, I will talk to everyone later. Please do, again, if you're new here, please do consider subscribing, ringing that bell, leaving us some comments, hitting that like button, and supporting the channel in any way you can to help with disseminate this information to more and more people, especially at this potential major market turning point. Talk to everyone soon. Bye for now.